Whether it's to build a passive income or to escape the 9-to-5 rat race, more and more people across the UK are turning to property investing and development as a way of making money work for them, not for them working for money. It sounds easy, but property is not a game for the faint-hearted, with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds at stake. The rewards can be great, but if it goes wrong, it can go very, very wrong. You often need financial experience and knowledge to take that deal over the line. And that's where we come in. In this series, we give budding property developers the chance to pitch their deals to our 5 seasoned property professionals: John Howard, Helen Chorley, Paul Mahoney, Nicholas Wallwork and Ranjan Bhattacharya, or who we call our property investment angels. Our contestants are in with the chance to walk away with the backing of someone who will bring both finance and experience to the deal. Will our angels be sending them up to the penthouse, or will they be heading straight for the basement? I'm Elizabeth Warburton and you're watching Property Elevator. Welcome back to Series 2 of Property Elevator. There's been millions of pounds worth of deals happened over the last few days with some very happy property investors. I can't wait to see what's in store for today.
Just a little bit of feedback when presenting to investors. You're better off being conservative with numbers.
You need me to put up 700 grand, yeah?
So I guess my concern is more kind of the environment and the economic environment that we're in at the moment.
If it was 2 straight floors and a loft, then you could have a lot of fun.
Like you as a developer, I want to go in and create something and create that value, and I get a buzz out of that.
Hi Dylan, welcome to the show.
Hi Lizzie, thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Feeling excited?
Yeah, excited and a bit nervous.
Good, don't be nervous. It's fine.
Okay.
They're all really lovely.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the deal.
It's a commercial property that I'm going to be converting into residential.
Great.
Yeah.
And how much investment are you looking for today?
I'm hoping for 330,000.
In exchange of?
So 40% equity.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We're now off to Milton Keynes and Dylan is bringing this deal to us. I think it's a nursery at the moment, and he's looking to convert it potentially into yet another HMO, or I think splitting into houses, which would be quite interesting. Let's get him in. Dylan, thank you very much for coming in today. Tell us a bit about yourself and your background, and then about the deal you wish us to fund, please.
My background is, I arrived 5 years ago in the country from South Africa, as I'm sure you can tell, not Australian. But so I arrived with £550 in my pocket and got on a train. I'd been an economics teacher in South Africa. And I arrived here and didn't have any jobs or accommodation sorted, and went around trying to find a room to live in. And no one wanted to rent to me because I just arrived in the country, didn't have credit history, didn't have any wages. But I managed to find a room eventually by walking into an estate agency after the second day, thinking I'd end up on the street. And there's a South African there. And I said to him, "Can I rent a room?" He gave me a room. And I said, "How did you do what you did with property?" And he told me, and I said to him, "I'll work a day a week for free. What I want to know is what you know. I don't need money from you." And so he allowed me to do that. And it turned out he ran the Northampton property meet. He told me to do 20,000 leaflets. I did 22,000 leaflets, and I got a lease option deal. And that was my first deal about 3 years ago. And from there, I've worked on joint ventures, raising private finance. I've managed to build it up to a £2.4 million portfolio. With this property deal, it's a property in Milton Keynes where I'm currently living, and I've managed to, so it's on for 500,000 we can secure it for. The cash that's needed is £250,000. The plan is to convert it into a 10-bed HMO. The cash flow of that should be about £3,000 net profit per month. There's planning permission that's lapsed. So the plan is to try and get planning for it, and there are 3 options in the second stage. So the first stage will be refinancing at 6 months as a 10-bed HMO, and that will leave £180,000 in the deal. Within 18 months, apply for the planning permission from day one, and build either an extension, so get 6 bedrooms more, which will push cash flow up to 4,700 per month, or else to build a house and sell that, and that would get, release all the initial cash back to you as an investor, so you have no money left in the deal. Cash flow would be a bit less, obviously, compared to holding it, but you would have all your cash out. And the third option would be to convert into 4 flats, and that would actually release an extra £70,000 on top of your money coming out. So we'd have £70,000, and I'd propose that we reinvest that and source another deal and refinance that money into a new deal.
So first of all, your story is incredibly humbling and well done you, fantastic.
Ditto what John said there, really incredible story, well done, and it just shows that if you apply yourself, success can be taught. You can learn from other people, having good mentors is important, and doing hard work to understand how to do these things is critical. I'd say one of my main expertise is commercial to residential conversions, and specifically micro studios and HMOs. So
He's
this
not
is
the only one, by the way.
This is a nice, a nice unit. I like it. I'm interested really on your market valuation initially, your stage 1 refinancing.
Yeah.
What is that a refinance of?
Stage 1 would be refinancing again, a commercial valuation, so as a 10-bed HMO.
And what is it now?
Currently, it's been used as a doctor's surgery.
Doctors, so it's D1?
Yeah, but it was residential before, got converted into doctor's surgery, and now we're going back.
Okay, and the lapsed planning is for a single C3 house?
That's correct, yeah. So as you can see on that picture, the planning was for it to come out. I mean, the options we have is to go the other way.
So the planning was for physical building works and conversion to a large C3 single dwelling house?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so and you would like to put in, to get this 600,000 valuation, you need to get planning for that again, or something similar to the side?
Yep.
What's next door, either side?
So next door is just a parking lot, and then the next door to the right is another house. So that's all residential all the way up the street.
Is it like a residential area? It looks quite leafy, quite a nice area. Yeah. Nice expensive houses. Yeah, you might get a bit of pushback from the council on a 10-bed HMO. There's probably a better way of doing that, which would be maybe 2 flats, and then use C3 to C4 permitted development rights to get 2 6-bed HMOs, because you'd get the first phase of planning through quite easily as 2 flats. The council tick a few boxes. I'm
open to that. It's because the main thing you have in Milton Keynes, and the issue you run into in planning with HMOs, is parking. With this property, as you can see, there's parking all the way.
Got lots of parking
around, which is the advantage.
If the neighbours complain profusely, that's where your issue might lie.
Absolutely.
Politically. Is there an Article 4 direction area in Milton Keynes, or specifically this area?
There's an Article 4 across the whole of Milton Keynes.
So this is in an Article 4 direction
area? That's correct, yeah.
Right, so you can't do the C3 to C4 then, obviously. No. So you would need planning. So this is very much an opportunity if you can get planning.
What's your target market for the HMO?
So young professionals. I mean, there's massive demand in Milton Keynes.
And you have, part of your portfolio is HMO already?
That's correct.
How many previously? What number would this be?
5th HMO.
I'm not that interested in HMOs, to be fair, but there might be other angles here, like you said, and I like the fact you brought 3 different angles to it. If we were just to refurbish the existing building and sell it, what could we sell that for?
Probably go for about 550.
So I'll cross that one off. And what if we did 4 flats? Does that include an extension, or is that just the existing footprint?
So in Milton Keynes, quite a few people have done them where you do it almost like a cluster home. Yeah. So you have the 4 flats, you title split it. Yeah. And if you were to just use the extension part to do that, the flats go for about 180. But conservatively, if we saw a drop or correction in the market, if we budgeted 150, sensible. 600.
The gross would be 600k.
That's for the flat. So with the extension, so building on 4 flats.
So you got 4 flats on the extension plus the existing house.
Plus the existing house.
Okay. Yeah. So if we what could we put the existing house into if it wasn't an HMO? Could we put it into another 2 decent sized flats, or?
Yeah, or a semi.
Semi, yeah, I like that. And they've got enough garden for semis either side. So we could get 6 units out of it, of which 2 semis and 4. So the gross would be, so the semis what, 250 each, something like that?
At least you'll get about 300,000.
Well, they're very close to they're going to be close to all the. Let's say 250 each. Just for the sake. So it's 500 plus 600 is 1.1, yeah?
I'm not really keen on the HMO angle. It's really the alternative uses that it can be put to. So you've got a D1 use here. And you've talked about planning. So there's likely to be some very attractive alternatives for converting this to residential without the need for planning permission. It's just that we don't know about those yet. They'll be unfolding by the time this gets on air. The problem with this, I think the purchase price is probably a little bit too high. The reason is that the permitted development is going to allow you to do a lot with this within the existing envelope. If it was 2 straight floors and a loft, then you could have a lot of fun. So, and this is the problem I find with many of these sites. You get these D1 sites, and you'd get 2 floors and a roof for 500 grand, and then you get basically 1 floor with the next floor in the roof, and they still want 500 grand for it.
It's almost too nice, really, isn't it?
What you can do with it is so limited. I think this is too much money as the purchase price for this type of deal. That's the problem. So if there's any downward scope on that, you may be able to make it into a deal, but I think it's just too much.
Yeah, I suppose just echoing what some of the guys have already said. The 500, has that been agreed? You said it was turned down at 550. Has he agreed 500?
Yeah.
Does there seem to be flexibility on that?
Potentially, if we could, go through a bit quicker, but obviously from our point of view, we wouldn't want to, like as Ranjan said.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Ranjan said so far as the margin just being a little bit tight. If you were buying this, if you were to turn it into 2 semis, it would be just the 2 semis. Is there another the existing property on top of that?
Well, that's the option we have to build
another 4
build
flats.
another property.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
And what would your preferred, so you've given kind of various options, what would your preferred option be?
Doing the 10-bed HMO and then having the 4 flats, because then you've got a bit of diversification as well. So if the HMO market turns, the flats I think is where the future's going, yet there is such a high demand for young professionals in HMOs. So from a cash flow point of view, it works out quite well, and the refinancing point of view.
And have you done an HMO in clearly a very residential area?
Predominantly that's where all my HMOs are.
It's tantalisingly close to a deal. The problem is I don't think it's quite there. What is the potential of getting planning permission for the extra 4 flats?
I haven't spoken to the planners, but I know, from the people I've spoken to have gone through the process, because of the advantage of where we're building, that we're not overlooking anywhere. The thing that we'd have to see is if we built to the left-hand side, that would mean that we're overlooking a parking lot. So it's, from that point of view, I'm pretty confident that we can.
Well, the good thing is you've got the parking, because you're going to need 1 for 1 or 1.5 for 1 or 2 for whatever it might be. So long as you've got enough parking spaces there. I mean, I actually think it's a shame because it's almost too nice as it is, and that's why it's still 500 grand. If it looked a dog, it might be 400, and actually at 400, because whatever condition it is, in a way, you're going to have to do it all again anyway to a point. So actually, you're not really benefiting from the fact that it's nice and other people might buy it to make it back into a home. For me, it's not quite good enough. It's not that far away, as long as you know you're going to get the 4 flats. But I'm afraid, as a deal, I wouldn't want to do the HMO particularly. And as a deal, I'd much rather do the 4 flats than the 2 houses. And for me, the price is just a bit too much. So it isn't something I could invest in today.
I actually, being possibly the most current HMO micro studio person in the room.
I wouldn't say the expert, but I would say you certainly are in the market at the current time.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate that. The HMO model is risky on this. I don't actually see it as an HMO model at all. I see the John route, which is get a good extension, get 3 or 4 semis on the site, make sure the GDV on those stacks up. It's done to a good spec, and you can make some money selling those on. Be cautious. This is a word to aspiring investors out there. Don't try and turn everything into an HMO. They don't all work. It's hot property at the moment. Not everything's suitable. Don't try and turn everything possible into an HMO just because it makes a load of cash flow and it looks good on paper. Potentially this one is too risky for that. So for that reason, I'm out, and hopefully that advice might help you going forward looking for better sites for HMO conversion.
I would love to back you. Come back with another project and I'll back you. I think one of the biggest things I see with people that do HMOs is, I did it to start with to build up the cash flow. It's when to start doing other things. to get out of the HMO mindset and see other possibilities in property. And I think you're at that stage where you need to sort of broaden your horizons. Commercial to resi is fantastic. I just don't think there's as John said, it's too good. It's not distressed enough. And also, this thing that I say about look for 2 floors and a roof, then you can do so much. The thing about planning permission, I don't like dealing with planners. It's too much of a pain. If this was 2 floors and a roof, under permitted development, you could convert it into 2 houses. And then you convert it into 2 houses, you split it vertically, then both houses come with PD rights as houses. And then you can implement PD on that. And you don't have to consult these planners. So you can do so much without planning. Why go down that sort of route? So, but this is just too nice a property to start with, and there's not enough space to do the kind of sexy things that you can do with these sort of units. So find one that has a little bit more meat on the bone and come back.
First off, HMOs aren't really my bag anyway, but I agree that they are forced sometimes, and I think this as a deal itself seems a little bit forced based on what the other guys have said predominantly. So it's not really for me based on that, but great story, and I think you're very investable, so another deal it probably would be for me.
You yourself, your story is very compelling. I think you clearly know your area and you clearly have expertise in the HMO space, and it does sound also to me that you're ready to take that next step. I do echo that maybe this isn't exactly enough meat on the bone, not quite the right opportunity, but do come back again with something else. And yeah, no, very interesting to understand your mindset and how you look at these things. Thank you.
To sum it up, it needs to be 400 grand. And if it's 400,000, you can flog it on for 500 and not do anything. But thank you very much for coming to see us, and there'll be another series, and we'd love to see you again.
By the way, John's absolutely correct. If we're all saying it's not worth 500, then everyone else is going to say that as well. So keep an eye on that vendor, wait another 2 or 3 months, and keep going back to them and saying, is it still for sale? Because no one else is going to buy it at that level.
So Dylan, tell us how it went.
It went well, got some good feedback, but unfortunately didn't get an investment.
Any feedback from the Angels?
Yeah, just got to get the price a bit low.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully if I can renegotiate it, leave it a few months, hopefully we can do something with it.
Great, so you're going to head back today and reassess your numbers?
Absolutely.
Demelza, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here with us. Can you tell us a little bit about the deal today and what you're after from our Angels?
The deal is a period property conversion in St Leonard's, which is in East Sussex.
Okay.
It's a high-end, I'm hoping to do a high-end refurbishment, and it's a lovely period property that's got lots of original features, high ceilings. I'm planning to install some parquet floor and give it a really high-end finish.
How much investment are you after today?
I'm looking for a 60-40 split.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it really.
Lovely. Well, good luck.
Now we've got Demelza coming in to see us. Demelza is an interior designer and a property investor and developer. I think she's coming to pitch an apartment that needs refurbishing and reselling. What I like about this personally is that I don't have to choose the kitchens, the bathroom, or the colours, because there's an expert that will be doing it. I'm hopeless at picking the colours especially. Demelza.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Have you come up from St Leonard's today, or?
No, I live down the road in
Do you?
Enfield. Yeah.
Oh, even better. That's great. Well done. Super. Tell us a bit about yourself and then a bit about the deal, please.
So I'm Demelza. I'm a property developer, investor, and site sourcer and interior designer. I've been working in property for about 15 years. I started as an agent. I got the property bug from being an agent. Just been doing mainly residential for the past sort of 12, 15 years, because I've had breaks in between. Mainly working on sort of, I guess what you call vanilla type investments. I did sort of sourcing buy-to-lets below market value, completing full refurbishments, and then sometimes flipping. I've used a few different strategies, so I've bought things that require full refurbishments but have short leases. I love things that have short leases.
So do I.
And
we're going to get on well, you and me.
Yeah, initially I started sort of shared houses before HMO legislation came in, and I would rent them as rooms because I sort of mitigated the risk, because if one tenant didn't pay, I still had the rental income from the others. I left that, went on to, like I said, short leases, specifically sourcing those, and then things that often if you find a property that's got short lease, it's usually in a poor state of repair as well. Yep. So I'd had the uplift by refurbishing and increasing the extending the lease.
Excellent. So, talking about the deal. So, how did you find it? So, tell us all about it.
When we went into lockdown, I just sort of obviously thought I'd had this sort of plan at the beginning of the year. Sort of my plan is to sort of complete on 3 properties. I was sort of hoping to do a bit more commercial stuff, but I've been to Hastings a few years ago, and I quite liked the properties because they're quite substantial in size. There's a lot of period architecture that's really nice. Some people that I deal with, sort of finance people, they mentioned that they'd had a few clients that were looking in Hastings, St Leonard's again, and the area had really sort of taken off. I'd been down there 5 years ago. So I just took a trip up there and decided to do some viewings. So I did, and I viewed a few, and this property was probably the last one that I looked at. And I quite liked it because it was across the road. If you could look on the road there, there's on that side that we can't see, there's quite a nice building that's just been fully refurbished. I liked it because it was large in size. There is a bit of a sea view. It's like a
glimpse,
bit.
or
a glimpse.
I can tell you used to be an estate agent. Go on.
Yeah.
Tell us about the deal then. What you're paying for it, what is it worth, and what do you want out of us, please?
It was on the market for 150. It had a short lease, and I managed to negotiate down to 135, and they extend the lease
back to its original level.
To 125. 125,
okay.
Yes. So in good condition. As an average, those sort of style properties are sort of going for about 210, but in top, high-end finish, they're on the market at sort of 320.
The ones opposite are professionally converted or new?
Professionally converted.
Okay, and they've just all been finished.
Yep.
So they're coming with a 10-year warranty. They're coming with all the rest of it, all the bells. Yeah.
I don't know that actually.
Okay.
When I say professionally converted, I'd say they're just other developers, probably a bit more with.
But they've done like 10 at once or 8 at once. The whole thing's been done, is it?
What, as a whole building, you mean?
Yeah.
No, they're individual
flats.
flats.
Individual. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Good. Right. Nicholas, now you know where St Leonard's on Sea is.
Yeah.
And you pronounced it right more than you did earlier. Go on.
Nice little town. They're on the market for sort of up to 320. You said.
Yeah.
Are they selling for that? Have you got any comparables of actual sales on Land Registry?
Well, there is, on the page.
You did have
one of the pages.
It's slightly confusing because there's a.
I know.
Helen and I were chatting a moment ago, and there's quite a range of values there, which, we're questioning how you're adding 150 grand's worth of profit by seemingly just, redesigning the interior and painting it and redecorating it. There's no. From what I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's no major development work going on. So how are you able to add, so there's 2 questions, comparable, why are they so different? And secondly, how can you add 150 grand without doing any substantial physical building works or change of use?
But I am planning to finish it to a high specification. In addition to that, if you can see from the plan that I have had sort of redrawn, I'm planning to lose the kitchen and create a 3rd bedroom with an ensuite. So there will be 2 ensuites and a additional bathroom. So it'll be 3 bedroom, 3 baths, which might seem
Sorry, Demelza, just let me jump in there. Sorry. That 210, is that not for 3 beds though?
Well, that's an average, and that was based on.
I've got it here, so it just says, so it's 3 beds for the area, the average being 210?
That's average condition.
Right, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
It being the average property in the area, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
for a
but
3
also,
bed, for the finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does also say for the average condition.
Yeah, fine,
okay.
yeah. No, that makes sense.
Okay, if you go further on and you look at the comparables of what has actually sold recently, you can see that there's a 3 bed, 8C, the Mount, which sold for 347, and that was recently, that was on the 3rd of this year.
So just looking at the ones that you have there, the pictures, Is it fair to say that they are probably the top end of 3 beds in the area, the 325 and the 350?
I would say that they are top end, but there are still some that are even more, you know.
So just one concern that I would have there is, I assume you won't have the freehold in this building.
No, it won't have the freehold.
And the outside of the building looks a bit warm.
Yeah, it is definitely scruffy.
Whereas they look quite nice.
Yeah, that's fine. And I did sort of take that into consideration because I've spoken to the freeholder and he's quite a nice man. And he is quite happy to, have a little bit of a conversation about repainting the outside.
On the square footage, you say it's a little bit smaller, but those are 1,033 square foot and 1,066. And the 1,066 is at 315,000. You know, and yours is 800 square foot, which is 20% less space.
How much is that? It's 300,
you know,
£300 a foot, isn't it, basically?
So you're knocking sort of, on the top one there, you're knocking 70 grand off that to get to a comparable for your size. And on the cheaper one, you know, you're knocking 63,000 off. So then you're down to 250,000 and 280,000 respectively for the value of your property. So I'm interested how you've got to 320 as your valuation. Is it gold-plated walls? With all due respect.
No, it's fine, don't worry. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just also, I mean, there was the ones that were across the road, they've now been removed and they're obviously still going through the sales process. It probably would have been good to get, but they were selling at 320 directly across the road. So I'm using that as a bit of a benchmark.
I mean, if I can slightly jump in your defence, it's 100%. It's almost 100% return on capital with the valuation you've given. So it's still a pretty decent return even if it sells at 250.
Can I just sort of extend on Nicholas's sort of line here? I get the bung the kitchen in the lounge and make an extra bedroom strategy for increasing rent, but for sell-on, I think it's a slightly different ball game, because when you get into the 3-bedroom apartment market, a lot of expectations are for a garden. And a lot of the comparables are basement, they're maisonette, so it's probably implied, it's not actually said in the comparables, but if you read between the lines at some of the addresses, they probably do have that outside space. And again, square footage is, I get if you were doing this as a rental strategy, you can make more rent by making an extra bedroom. But without the extra square footage, I wonder whether the comparables, because in the UK we have a tendency to say compare based on number of bedrooms as opposed to square footage.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you're getting, not number of bedrooms, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In terms of the direct comparable that you're talking about, kind of across the road here, so the 320 for £900 square foot, so you've got 355 a square foot there. But if yours is 800, then using that same average, 355, that gives you relatively, or 284 I've got it at. So I think a 320 marketing on a 284 price, it gives me a bit of doubt there.
Have you got the permission will you get the permission for the freeholder to refurbish it as you wish? Because the lease probably says you need the freeholder's permission. So is that going to be an issue?
I can't foresee that being an issue.
No,
I think he's quite keen to get it.
We need it in writing. Is he the owner of the flat at the moment? No.
Yeah, he is the owner, yeah.
He owns the flat as well?
He owns the whole building.
He owns the freehold, but does he own this flat? No.
Yeah, he owns downstairs and he owns upstairs,
But he
and I'm
doesn't
buying the
own this
middle.
one.
No, he owns the middle as well at the moment until I buy it.
How much is the ground rent?
£250 per year.
Okay, well, under the new rules, ideally, if you're doing a new lease, it should be 0.1% of the value of the property. So if you're paying 135 for it, it should be 135 quid. That's what it should be. Well, I'm nearly ready to make you an offer.
Okay.
What sort of deal do you want to do? Tell us. What's the game? What's the deal? Are you putting any money in yourself?
Ideally, I would not like to put
I'm sure
money
you.
in,
I'm sure you
because then
wouldn't
I could
want.
get
No,
onto
don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that I'm trying to sort of grow my business now. I'd like to sort of hit the ground running and sort of get cracking with this.
Yep.
And then be looking for the next deal to get onto. So if I
Okay.
could,
So I'm going to make you an offer. I'll put all the money up for the deal, and I'll give you 25% of the net profit. And I think it's probably worth 275.
right.
and I want you to use all your skill and ability that I haven't got. I'll get all the building work sorted out. I'll pay for everything, but I need you to put that input into it. Okay?
Just a little bit of feedback when presenting to investors. You're better off being conservative with numbers because you put together a great pack which has given us all the evidence, and I think it's going to be, for me anyway, a bit of a turn off to see if the numbers look inflated.
Yeah.
And that could be a red flag so far as how you operate your business. Not that it is, I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Great presentation, great pack. I do get there is something in this deal, it's just not the type of deal that I do.
I really like you, I really like your story. I love the amount of time, money and belief in yourself, and that you're dedicating to educate yourself. That's a huge plus for you in my book.
Definitely.
I love like the detail in this. It would be a little bit too much detail for some investors, like probably not for us, but for some investors who just be mindful.
Say for John.
Well, I was going to be kind and not say that, but as soon as you've gone there.
Thanks.
So just be kind of mindful who you're pitching to. Like I say, the numbers kind of bring concern to me. So on this occasion, it's not for me, but I really want to follow your journey and see what you do. So I definitely like to stay in touch, and Jen, I wish you well with everything.
I think you've done great pack. As Helen said, it's probably a bit too much information to digest and read through, but lots of information there. When you do comparables, make sure they're real and genuine comparables. So there's a bit of a learning lesson there, I'd suggest, in presenting 3 or 4 comparables rather than so many.
Yeah.
Make sure they're very accurate, and then compare them on the price per square foot basis as well. I'd love to work with you. I don't think this deal's for me, and I think you would work really well with John. And I think you've got an incredible offer from John, and you couldn't have a more formidable business partner. So I'm going to step back and declare myself not investing today, but thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that. Thanks for the advice. And I'll keep the presentations a bit simpler in future. And thank you, John, as well. Appreciate it.
Are you going to accept his offer? That's the big question. There's an offer on the table.
There for you.
That's the offer.
All right, okay, well, I'll accept then, that's fine.
Sure?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great.
Excellent.
Well done.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So did we have a deal?
We do, we have a deal.
Fantastic, congratulations.
Thank you.
Who went for it in the end?
It was John.
Okay.
And he's offered me a 100% funding, and we do a profit share.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you're happy?
Positive. Yeah, really happy.
Good. Immanuel, welcome to Property Elevator. It's great having you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your deal.
So I've got a 9-unit new build scheme in Purley, Croydon.
Okay.
Just got planning permission just over 2 weeks ago.
Lovely.
And I'm looking for an investment of around about 700,000.
Brilliant. Okay, well, good luck.
Immanuel is coming to see us. He is a developer and he's looking to fund this new development in Croydon. Shall we get him in and get the measure of him? I think I recognise you from a TV show.
You might
Do
have
I?
done. You might have done. I was on a TV show recently.
Which show was that?
It was a Rich House, Poor House. I was the poor house.
I don't believe that for 1 minute. Tell us a bit about yourself, Immanuel, and about the deal you've brought today for us to fund.
I've been a property investor for about 25 years.
Yep.
Got quite a large property portfolio, and I've been developing different schemes all over London in the main. So the scheme we're talking about today is a scheme we've just got planning permission on a few weeks ago in Purley, Croydon. It's a 9-unit scheme, 7,163 square feet. It consists of 1 3-bedroom, 5 2-bedroom, 3 1-bedroom apartments.
Some figures, please.
Sure. So the purchase price is 1.1 million.
Yep.
The build cost of 1.5 million, 1.45 million. The SIL section 106 is, and car club is 100,000.
Yep.
Contingency 7% at 100,000. Purchase and exit fees another 120,000. You've got finance at roughly 200,000.
Yep.
Total purchase and build cost and contingency is 3,070,000. We're very conservative on the GDV, so I've given you a couple of handouts. There's 2 schemes literally in the next road. So you've got Russell Hill, which we've got another scheme in planning at the moment. which is in the next road, and it's selling for a much higher price per square foot. It's selling between 550 and 580. I've based all the figures on 515 per square foot.
515.
515. The blended build rate is about £202 a square foot. Profit on cost is 20% at 620,000 is the overall profit.
620. And what are you looking for from us today?
Looking for an equity partner.
Yep.
The total equity required is 800,000. We'll put in 100,000. We're looking for an equity partner or number of for the balance of 700,000 for a 50% profit share.
I don't know Croydon quite so well, but to make 600 grand, putting 3 million in GDC to make 600 grand, I can make that by putting 700,000 or 800,000 in the Thames Valley, on an office to resi conversion or something a little bit less.
You very well can. So if you bear in mind, like most
the
developers, most of these things take 12, 18 months to come to market. So you base your numbers on where the market was at the time. The figures were higher. I've revised them down to where they are now.
Sure, okay. So this is realistic for now?
It's realistic for now. But when we first did it, the GDV was just under 4 million.
One thing I'm always nervous on is when I see steps, external steps, because I always think that signifies extra costs. And if you look here, you've got, it's a beautiful design, don't get me wrong, but you've got, steps up from obviously the garden, and you're obviously building the car stacker is where the steps go up. So is that natural ground falling down, or are you having to dig anything out?
No, that's the natural ground
so
progression.
you're using the natural undulation to do it?
Correct.
Did you try and get a basement level in this? With the ground, you could obviously have windows at the rear.
No,
potentially get another floor.
We haven't done that. We've done a few basements. I don't like them. They take extra time, money.
I agree entirely with you.
So learn once,
Absolutely.
don't do the same thing again.
I think it just depends on the area, though, doesn't it? I mean, I know a lot of areas
You're
in London
okay
where...
from Mayfair.
Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, I look up at Radlett, and the people are going 3 or 4 stories down there because the price of land is so high.
What, in Radlett?
In Radlett, yeah. A
I'm
lot
out
of
of
people doing
touch.
those developments there. So, I mean, Croydon is, probably not as expensive as there, but I guess it comes down to the numbers, doesn't it? If you're prepared to take that extra risk, it probably doesn't work.
Radlett and Croydon prices aren't a million miles away. Actually, in Radlett, the price per square foot now is about 650 to 675. I know the area pretty well. I live there.
Okay. Oh, you live there? Right, okay.
So
there you go. So you know of these developments,
I
I'm
know
sure.
some of the actual developments. I know some of the very big builders there as well.
And what's the time frame on this?
It's going to be 12-month build, 6-month marketing, but I always say allow 24 months. You definitely never know what the market's going to be. You don't know if another COVID's going to be there or another Brexit, or there's always something.
I agree entirely. And selling the last unit's your profit.
I suppose my biggest concern would be the profit is less than 10% of percentage of the GDV. So is that right? 620 profit on 6.4 million GDV?
The cost is 3,070,000.
Right.
The GDV is 3,690. So it's 20% on cost.
Right, okay, all right. Sorry, I misunderstood that.
Yeah, and again, I've been very conservative. I could have come in here with inflated figures, but that would be wrong.
Yeah.
So, it's, when you're doing a development, from all the years of experience, you always undervalue because you just don't know where the market's going to go. If it goes to the figures where we think it is, it's just extra profit. If
exactly, and that was my point, is obviously the market's relatively good in Croydon at the moment. It could come down by 10% and that, yeah, fine.
And I've done a sensitivity analysis of 10% increase in build costs, 5% down in GDV, and there's still a profit of 300,000 even on those particular figures. And again, it's not including the parking or the freehold, so there's a bit of movement in there at the same time.
It's a beautiful scheme. I've seen some of the things you've done in the past, and I know the calibre and the quality that you deliver. So, no, it's very interesting.
It's like my jackets. I like things to be a little bit different.
A little bit of flair. Like
You've got all the flair I have not got, but what I have got and what I can bring to the table, I think, is a little bit of more realism perhaps to the deal, where you need in every partner you need to be different. So you've got the flair and the enthusiasm and the experience of doing these, and I can perhaps bring a bit more hard-nosed side to it, as it were. So I quite like that.
I wanted to explore a little bit about the build costs.
Yep.
we've got this sort of timber frame and all that sort of stuff, but what about the groundworks? Because it does seem a sloping site and all of that. Has that all been...
So again, we should have a firm design and build price in the next 7 to 10 days. And the indication, including the timber frame, is 1.45 million. And I'm hoping to shave a little bit off of that, but that's where it looks going to be. Plus the contingency of another 100,000, which we'll probably use. Takes you up to 1.55 million. I've put extra cost on the finance of 200,000. It won't be as much as 200,000. So there's movement in there to allow for any, so the build cost is plenty there.
It's not really for me. I think for me personally, it's too much cash in for not enough return. I'm not saying it's not a good deal, because it's probably more for one of you guys than it is for me. So I'll withdraw first.
I'm going to go quickly after, purely on the basis of the numbers, and I don't think I can add any value. I think you know exactly what you're doing. I like to go into deals where I can add the value, and that's the passion I have in property. Is like you as a developer, I want to go in and create something and create that value, and I get a buzz out of that. So I don't think I could get excited about the business aspect of it, because you've already nailed that and you've nailed the design. So yeah, unfortunately I won't be investing on this occasion, but it's a great site and I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Thank you.
See, this is right up my strasse. Someone who knows what they're doing, someone who's got a proven track record, somebody whose numbers are sensible. My concern on it is the return on investment numbers in terms of the time frame. So the return on investment in terms of the 620 that we're looking at is 44% over 2 years.
Well, it's actually 18 months, but I've said 2 years because I like to be conservative.
You're right, Emmanuel, you're right.
No, I like that, and
Sensible.
I like the exactly, you're conservative with that. That gives me much more kind of reassurance. So I guess my concern is more kind of the environment and the economic environment that we're in at the moment. If we look at kind of the downside with, and I love that you've done the sensitivity analysis, you're the first person that's been in here who's even mentioned that word those words other than me, so I absolutely love that. So let me help you on a couple of bits at the moment as well. Sure.
So all the schemes that we build are in help to buy, or help to sell, should I say, in terms of the marketplace. So that's the first thing. So the amount of deposit somebody needs to put in is quite small. Right. Secondly, because of COVID, we are now in uncharted territories where interest rates are as low as they're ever going to be. I think this is a pretty good scheme. And Croydon, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff, but it's the most searched after area to buy in the UK currently.
Who's going to show their hand first? That might be yourself and Helen.
Yeah, Ranjan's very quiet.
I don't think Ranjan's in. I don't know, Ranjan. Let's hear what you think.
I think I'm kind of torn here because I'd love to work with you, and there are just a couple of things holding me back. One is that I'm not a new build type of person, so what I can add to the party, I'm not entirely sure. I've done a lot of property stuff, but I haven't done that much new build. It's mainly converting old stuff. The other thing that holds me back is the length of time that much money would have to be tied up into.
It's not very long, Ranjan.
It's 18 months, a couple of years.
What do you expect on a
I
scheme
haven't
like
finished
that?
my offer yet. I haven't finished what I'm saying yet.
Haven't finished your offer? Oh, interesting.
Oh, did I say that?
Oh, I think you said offer.
If someone wanted to come in, I would be willing to put up half of the money if the total profit share was, say, 60%, because I think we'd be putting in quite a lot. So if someone else wanted to come in and offer the other half, I'd be delighted to work with you on this project.
I love the idea. I've got nothing to do with it, to be honest with you, because I'm up here with property and I've got too much to sell at the moment, probably than anything else. So the fact you know what you're doing and you're getting on with it, and I just need to turn up once a month for a cup of coffee with you and say, how's it going? You go, yeah, it's great. Schedule's going fine. I actually like that. I'm not a control freak. I'm a delegator, and that's how I've made my money, to be honest with you, most of the time, by delegating to people better than me, and you're certainly much better than me at something like this. I obviously know you and know of you, and I like what other people have said about you as well. For me, the problem with it is that the profit really, for me, isn't enough. And I'm not normally a greedy person, So you need me to put up 700 grand, yeah?
I do.
If you don't get investment today, do you have a alternative way of financing this site?
I do.
And what is that? Can you
My
share
own
that?
money.
Your own money, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And why don't you want to do that now?
Why? Because cash is king and it gives me the ability to buy other stock, but also more importantly, if there's any shortfalls that the project needs propping up, that comes from me. So having cash in reserves is important for any investor or developer.
I agree. I would be prepared to put up the 700k, but I would want 70% of the deal.
What I'm looking at is, and I always look at kind of worst case scenario for me. So, you know, like I say, I've got my concerns about what's going to happen in the economy, and once we've got kind of supply side shocks and everything hitting the economy and the effect that that's going to be having on prices, particularly over the next, well, certainly kicking in from next year.
So as an investor, you expect to get a certain return on your money.
Yeah.
So provided that return is given to you as the minimum, then if it exceeds that, so you take that as the first payment.
I don't know that you're going to want to hit my hurdle rate.
Which is?
I'm really looking at 30%.
Okay. Then you're right, we wouldn't hit that hurdle rate.
I don't think Immanuel wants to do it with me. I think he likes you.
I think the cost of the opportunity is a bit too rich, and it wouldn't certainly allow me to do another episode of the other programme.
You'd be on the poorhouse side.
I often say this, if you're not sure, you shouldn't invest.
I'm afraid that's where I am.
And that's the right decision.
Yeah.
And seeing as you're on your own, I'm out. Thank you.
So Immanuel, a very interesting turn of events there.
It went really well. It was really nice pitching to my peers, different people from different perspective in property, investors, as well as property developers, and just getting their perspective and how they view a deal from another property professional. So yeah, I thought it went really well.
Good, good. So what's your plan now with the property?
Still going to develop it and build it, and we either use our funds or we have access to other potential investors, high net worth clients. I really wanted one of the angels, especially Helen or Ranjan. I've been following them for quite some time, so it would be nice to have worked with them.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, best of luck with it and keep in touch and let us know how it goes.
I will.
Thanks.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Wow, another great day of deals and a lot of very happy angels and property developers. As always, not all the deals could be taken over the line today, but we hope that those who didn't make it have gone away with some great feedback and hopefully that little bit more confidence to make that next deal work. I'm Elizabeth Warburton and you've been watching Property Elevator.